Word. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the call. So glad you guys are here. Okay, let's celebrate some wins and then we will jump into our call for tonight. So, Cheryl, we already knew this win early, but she finished her Conqueror Challenge, walked 50 miles. That didn't take you very long, girl.
No,
It was,
no. Well, I knocked it out of the park on the last 5 miles by riding my indoor bicycle for 5 miles. It still counts. I moved.
it all counts, man. It all counts. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that medal's pretty.
it is pretty. But
Yeah, it's
it
pretty.
was more of it was an intrinsic feeling of, yeah, I did this. I walked that far in that short of time while I really can do that often.
Yeah, and that's the bigger win, right? Like that feeling of like I can do it. It wasn't maybe as hard as I had told myself it was going to be, or whatever the case may be. So that's awesome. You proved it to yourself. You could
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Also, a side win was that I realized I could watch Netflix while I am riding the indoor bike. I don't have to listen to the trainer, especially the ones I don't like to listen to,
Mhm.
and I can just still monitor my progress and watch Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. I do that sometimes on my standing desk. Like if I'm like really not wanting, I'm like avoiding it and I'm like, all right, what show can I watch? Because like I need to distract myself and that's something I actually enjoy doing. So, bring my laptop up there, throw on Netflix, watch an episode and walk. Yeah. Awesome. And you stocked your fridge with some healthy grab and go options. Anything you're most excited about? Like anything new or?
I got some of those with the high protein. I think it was the Chobani one.
Mm,
It's like
hmm
20 grams of protein.
hmm
So like in the morning when I'm not really that hungry, but I know I probably should eat something with protein, that was there. And then I have been liking mini cucumbers, so stocking with those, and then of course having some strawberries to add with things. But like, oh, and I didn't get the Yazo bars, but I got little yogurt, Greek yogurt bars with
Mm.
chocolate on the outside. So it's a little chocolate, but high protein sort of snack.
Yeah. Did you like it?
They were okay. I'll
Okay.
try another brand, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was good. Kind of fill the sweet tooth sometimes. Oh,
Yeah.
I grab that.
Excellent. Yay, yay, yay. Awesome. All right. Julie's win is that she made it after a tough week, right? That's the only win we got. So that's awesome. And we're all very happy that you're here. Lisa, after walking on the treadmill, I walk up 5 steps to come back into the house because it's in the garage, right?
Right.
Yeah, so Monday was the first day that my knees didn't protest. That is awesome. And you're back to having a salad with protein instead of a sandwich for lunch this week, and you feel better
hmm
about that.
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I really like
Yay.
that crunch in the salad, It's just something about the crunch.
hmm It's more satisfying. I mean, I like
Yeah.
a sandwich just like most of us, but I find that moves I just it just doesn't last as long. It doesn't feel as satisfying. I mean, it's good in the moment, but it just doesn't kind of give me enough, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Good. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I'm so happy about your knees. So it can feel a little counterintuitive. That like movement, like you're having pain, and so you're kind of resisting moving, right? Like that's what we want to do. But
Right.
actually, lots of times with our joints, especially knees, we need the movement and they actually start to feel better. Everything's just a little bit more lubricated and working well. Not every joint is that way. Like if you're dealing with frozen shoulder, not necessarily. But particularly knees tend to, improve some the
Yeah.
more if we keep them active.
And I've been careful to stick to the 10 minutes and I've graduated to like 12 now. But, I'm thinking I could probably go further. I think I could go further, and I'm playing my, music on my phone as I'm, going. I'm like, haven't finished this song. I'm like, stop. Because if you push it too far, it's a bad thing. And so
Mhm.
I've been feeling good. I think I could probably do more, but I'm like, nope. I've got a plan here. We're going to increase by, a minute and then another minute and that kind of thing. And so far that's been good because I started out with 5 minutes instead of 10.
Good for you.
Just because
But
it's, you know, past experience. Yeah.
yeah. And slow is okay. Like it's better to be cautious than go all in and then be hurt and not do anything for a week, right? Like
Right.
it's like slow, steady progress. And you know your body. So listening to your body as well is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so psyched. Monday, I was just like, I just came up those stairs and that twinge that I usually feel in this left
Mhm.
knee and like the kind of weakness around the right one, I didn't see that or didn't feel that. And I was like, it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And tuck that feeling away,
Yeah.
right? To be like, that is definitely a win. Like that is proof that things are improving,
Mm-hmm.
so you can like build on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm so glad. Excellent job, girls. Excellent job. I don't love girls. I don't know where that came from. I normally say ladies or team or friends, but girls came out of my mouth tonight. I don't know. Okay. All right. This is what I thought might be helpful to talk about tonight. I actually switched what the plan was because of you, Julie, because life has been lifing for you. And we're together for 6 months. Life is going to happen, probably for all of us at some point, right? Like I got sick a couple weeks ago. I hadn't been sick like that for a while. Now Julie's dealing with health issues with her dad, right? Like things like that are going to happen. And I like to help you guys think about it in a different way because often what I see is that feeling of, even Julie, you were like, this is my only win, like showing up was my only win. Or earlier you were like, I'm so far behind in life. Like that's normal. All of those feelings, all of those thoughts are normal. But how do we continue? Because it can be really easy to let stuff like that like derail us completely. And that's normal, a human, like a natural response, which is why the non-negotiables are important. It's for moments like this, like that Julie's been going through, that the non-negotiables really come into play. But another thing is just a understanding of the difference between reasons and excuses. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What I see oftentimes is either a focus on like an overplaying of the reasons, like everything's a reason. I'm not like giving yourself so much grace, and I'm not talking about any of you. This is what I see like as a collective, right? Myself too. Like we kind of like lean into the reasons, like why I can't do stuff, not in a realistic way sometimes, right? But then there's other times where we kind of beat ourselves up with the excuses, right? Where we're thinking that like even real reasons become excuses. You know what I mean? Like we kind of were like out of proportion with that. And so I just like to define things a little bit and then give you some ideas for kind of how to navigate through that for your own self. Okay. So a reason by definition is a statement offered in explanation or justification. It is a logical justification for not participating in something or an explanation for why something happened. Reasons can be legitimate and outside of one's control, right? Julie's dad being in the hospital and her having to be there. That's out of your control. It's legitimate, it's out of your control. Reasons imply that fault is recognized and accepted, and that the person takes accountability for the actions, right? I got to be with my mom. I got to help my dad. I'm a caregiver. This is what's happening. And reasons in and of themselves can lead to positive, goal directed, or solution oriented behavior. And what I find with reasons is they don't have shame piled on top of them. Okay? Because shame is a demotivator. Excuses are typically an attempt to avoid or remove blame, or a pretense that can be overcome. Excuses have a more negative connotation than reasons and imply that the person doesn't have control over the situation. They exist to justify, blame, or defend to a fault with the intent to absolve oneself of accountability. They can waste time and prevent productivity.
Can
Now,
you read that first part again? Sorry.
sure. An attempt to avoid or remove blame, or a pretense that can be overcome. Excuses have a more negative connotation than reasons and imply that the person doesn't have control over the situation. Was that good? That what you needed? So we all have valid reasons for not doing things we know we need to do. Okay, that's the truth. Life happens. We have spouses, we have kids, we have parents, we have jobs, we have, right? Things in life that are going to happen. The key is understanding when that reason turns into an excuse. It's kind of like a slippery slope that's different for each person. And then when we try to remove our own empowerment from the equation, well, life happened, therefore I can't do anything. Like Julie, I thought about you, right? You're like, I'm trying to find healthy options. I found fruit. Like the hospital doesn't have great options, but even just like the minuscule thing that you were able to find, you know, like that is still in empowerment versus, well, screw it. I'm just going to eat at McDonald's for a full week and not even think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the positive, the one thing that cafeteria has going for it, they have the most beautiful greens on their salad. Now, everything else is weird. Last week they had grilled chicken and and it wasn't terrible. They had like sun-dried tomatoes. I mean, it looked like an absolutely normal salad bar. This week, it is weird as shit. Like dry, stale chicken tenders that are cut up. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do with this? They had a whole container of cold tortellini noodles, which I loved. A nurse walked by and she said, what the hell are you supposed to do with the tortellinis? I have no idea. I think they were cleaning out the refrigerator. I think it was
I was just
leftover
like,
week.
it's like they got to the bottom of something and was like, we got to just put this out, It's got to get eaten up.
Yeah.
Right. But deciding, right? Not just, it's kind of that, it's like staying in a decision-making place, being like, yes, this is happening, but in the midst of it, what can I do? And now also what's really important is that you give yourself grace, because there is a fine line between a real reason and then kind of slipping into an excuse, but then also a ton of blame and shame with that excuse, right? It's sort of like trying to back yourself up, zoom out, and look at the truth and be like, okay, truth is life is crazy right now. But I also kind of use it as an excuse a couple extra days. I'm not going to continue to beat myself up about that. I'm just going to shift now and realize like I need to choose differently, right? And kind of remove the shame, remove the guilt, and even remove the frustration with the reason, because we can get stuck there too. Like this was me when my son was younger, because he would be hospitalized at least 4 times a year. And so I would notice a pattern in myself, right? Where I would start something and start to feel better, but then crisis, like literal crisis would happen and I'd have to be at the hospital. And then I just kind of never recovered from that, or it took me a long time where I would kind of wallow in the my life is hard. This always happens to me I'll just do nothing. Do you know what I mean? And then like, then I would kind of get myself up out of that. And then it would happen again. And so I had to learn how to kind of reckon with the fact that that was my life. Crises were going to happen. He was had medical needs that he'd have to go to the hospital for. Like that is, and I'm his mom, and I'm a nurse, and I'm going to be there. Like that's my life. But it didn't have to become like an excuse and then shame spiral. It could just be what it was, acceptance. And when I got home, I'd get back in my routine and right, like do the best I could, kind of, instead of just being annoyed and frustrated and what the heck. So it's so much more about awareness so that we catch ourselves when the slide goes from reasons to excuses, but we also don't beat ourselves up and pile on the shame. Okay. So just an example from my own life is, when I've had crises happen, not walking. Walking is one of my non-negotiables, right? So when crisis happens, that's like one of the things I still know I need to do just for my mental health. When the proverbial, shit is hitting the fan in my life, like I'm better able to manage it if I walk. There are times I can't, right? Timing, I haven't slept, whatever has been happening. And so, yeah, the reason is like this happened. And so I didn't walk maybe twice in a row, but it would slide into an excuse when after kind of the crisis had resolved, where I just didn't get back on my schedule. I'm still catching up. I still don't have time. Do you see what I mean? Like we can kind of slide. And so for me, I've practiced getting better at my awareness around that and not letting the shame kind of creep in and the beating myself up and just being like, whoop, time to reset. Like time to reset. What do I need? I know I need to do. I know walks are helpful for me. I'm going to get back out there. So I hope that's helpful. I don't want to, this is meant to be like an empowering conversation, but it can sometimes be a little, kind of see certain things in ourselves and like, that's okay. So what do you guys think? Any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah, so I had a rough weekend with my mom. She also ended up at the ER,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and just not feeling well. But what I found was like even after I came back home after dropping her off, I was exhausted. It was Father's Day, so I had failed on all of the fronts of Father's Day-ness for every father in my life because I was dealing with my mom. But
Mhm.
I felt like the only thing that that kind of helped me at that moment was I actually did a bike ride because, well, I felt like I needed that time to unwind, unpack, and just kind of focus on something for myself at that moment. Even though in my head I was like, well, I should be calling dad number one. I should be calling dad number two. I should be,
Ooh, the
doing
shoulds were
something.
strong.
Right. But I said, I need this right now. Like I just need to go up and ride the bike.
Mhm. And how did it feel when you were done?
It was relaxing to do that.
Yeah. And then were you able to do any of the Father's Day stuff? Like, did you call them after? Or did you just kind of wait till
No, it
later?
was late. It was late.
Oh, it was late then.
I
Yeah, yeah.
still need to catch up with all of them.
Yeah, that's okay. I assume you said happy Father's Day to your husband.
I did. Sent them all text messages. I just said I'm at the hospital with my mom. I did,
Oh, okay. So you still reached out. Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
you
yeah.
just didn't have the like call.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The warm and fuzzy call. No.
Yeah, yeah. I bet you didn't even have the capacity to have a warm and fuzzy call. Like, even if
No.
you had been like, I need to do it and I'm gonna do it, I've been like, hope your day was great. My day really sucks. And
Yeah. No,
right?
I didn't. By 8 o'clock, I was like, nope. My social capacity is spent at the moment. I am done.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave me alone in my
How's your
corner.
mom doing?
We had to go on Monday and have her drained, like her stomach drained.
Mm-hmm. It's rough. Does she feel
So
better?
yes, she did feel
Good,
better.
good. Okay. But yeah, so that's great. So you made an empowered choice, right? The shoulds were really loud, but you also still made an empowered choice and took care of you, which is important. Yeah. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions? No? Was that helpful? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So what do you guys want to work on tonight? What do we got? What's coming up? What are you struggling with? What do you need more clarity around?
I'm behind on watching the videos, but I did start trying to do the strength training by just so every time the Apple Watch tells me time to stand, sort of thing, I have a little set of weights in my office. So I've been trying to add that in some way, shape, or form as part of the movement for the get moving and stand.
Nice.
I
And
don't
how
do
does
it all the time, but I have been trying to do a couple exercises.
and how does that feel?
I mean, it's good. I know that I need to work my upper body. So,
Mhm.
and it's just they're small weights. Don't get excited. They're very small weights, but it you know
Hey, no weights are fine. Like,
yeah.
got to start somewhere. So the fact that you're, picking up something is great.
Well, yeah. Usually when it tells me to stand, I'm usually trying to do an exercise of some sort. Like I'm not
Mhm.
just standing and walking in circles. I am trying to do something. But by adding the weights to it, whether it's just lifts or I forget what those are called, but like, just adding those simple motions with the weights, I think will be good for the arms.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a good strategy of like micro movements, because that's really what you're doing is you're doing little short sets of micro movements. And it's a great way when you have a busy, busy schedule of just incorporating it where it doesn't feel like I gotta go down in the basement and do a
Right.
30-minute strength training workout, right? It's like sometimes it's just doing what you can in the middle of your routine. And if you were getting up anyway, right? You kind of habit stacked, like you're used to that. You got a built-in reminder. You're used to not ignoring it, like a lot of people do. Like it tells me to stand, ha ha ha, move on. So you're used to being aware of it and paying attention to it. And then you just kind of added, you're like, this is easy. I have weights right here. Let me do something.
Yeah, I felt that was really an easy step. I do want to set up a weight strength training routine. I just felt really overwhelmed at the moment with everything going on. So I just said, I felt like this was just an easy way to add it. And Julie, when I was at the hospital with my mom during a couple of the procedures, when it was time to stand, I was like, I haven't really walked much. So I tried to walk around the corridor a little bit to just get some movement in, and it also helped clear my head as, you're sit there dwelling on things. You're like, oh, crap.
It's so much. It's so hard to just sit in a hospital and just it's hurry up and wait and no, it's just
I did turn on my fitness band, which I forgot the charger, so it's dead now. I was only supposed to be here 3 days last week.
yeah, I was gonna say you weren't supposed to still be there.
No, I was supposed to be here 3 days and I'm still here. So I turned on where it says do exercise, and I decided, okay, since I really can't do that, it's my excuse. No, it's my reason to stand. But I also mentally, it's like I need to drink some water. So every time my wrists buzz, I have to stand up and I need to drink some water.
Mm,
The hospital is very dry. Oh my
mhm.
gosh, it's so dry. And I come home at night, even after drinking water, and I feel so dehydrated. My urine is so much darker than it normally is.
Mhm.
It, you know, and I just, yep, tomorrow's going to be a better day.
Yeah,
That's what I say every day.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, it's important not to discount hydration. Like it's so important. Like we know we're supposed to drink water, right? So I feel like it gets old, but it's so crucial to every single body system. And especially when you're going through something like you're going through with your dad or Cheryl with your mom, or even Lisa, like with when your mom's had struggles, right? Like you need to be at your best because your decision making or your strategizing or your logistics or your planning or your right because but like if you're not taking care of yourself at all, that can be really, really hard to show up in a powerful way. And hydration is so important. It helps you think clearer, helps you sleep better, helps you have more energy. Like a big sign of dehydration is fatigue. Well, you're probably already fatigued because this is a lot of stuff going on, right? And so, like, you're just making that fatigue when you have to be in decision making mode, or, right? Like, you're making it so much harder. And so, I think that's great knowing that, like, at least I can prioritize drinking water. I can stand up, not sit in this chair all day, right? And I can drink some
Oh,
water.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember when I was in the hospital with Jeffrey all the time, it always made me tired. Just sitting around is like so tired. I never was tired when I was a nurse in the hospital because I didn't have time to be tired, but just the waiting, the anticipating, like it was just a different, just utter
Furniture is
exhaustion.
not built for normal people. It's built for very tall people.
Mhm.
So our feet dangle on the ground. My knees are killing me. But it's
Mhm.
because my feet don't touch the ground. And so I sit with my feet crossed or my legs crossed or crisscross applesauce in the couch. It's not meant to be there for that length of time.
Mm-mm. No. Now, is he out of the ICU?
He is out of ICU. He's been back in a room for a few days. They're still struggling with consistent blood pressure.
Mm.
He's now, I think because he was pathed enough times that now they've found a couple blood clots and he's having a problem going to the bathroom. Um, it's like a cascading of effect. But
Mhm.
even the doctors admitted today he has to get out of here. He has been cleared from everybody. We are just waiting for a bed that he can go to rehab.
Mm. Yeah. And that'll be a better place, like rehab. It'll be a better, he's ready for that. He'll be better. He's just sitting.
He's ready
just
for
sitting
that.
and
Yeah, and even today, he keeps saying, I want to get out of here. And we keep reminding him, you're not going home. And today was the first day. Do I get to go to Hubbard? Do I get to go to the care center right there? And so he's ready. He's accepting that he has to go there. And I'm hoping that he is the bullheaded German and he decides that he's going to get up and he's going to walk circles around him and he's going to be done. They said 10 days. I think he'll do it in less than that.
yeah. Once he puts his mind to it, I'm getting
Yep.
out of here.
I'm getting out of here and I can walk home if I want to.
Did I tell you? So my dad's side of the family also German. Did I tell you about my German grandfather? What he decided at 93? 92. He was 92. My grandmother died. They were so they had gone to one of those assisted living places, but it had like every level of care, so they were in like an apartment, assisted living. But then so my grandmother had been sick. She had a heart condition and then she fell and broke her hip at home. And my grandfather had fallen asleep in the breezeway chair and he could not hear her screaming. So she was down for few hours before he found her. And then that was he finally was like, we need to go somewhere where that won't happen. He would never have gone to that place for himself, but did it for my gram, right? So they're there. My grandma ends up dying, I don't know, 8 months later, 8, 9 months later. And my grandfather at 90, 91, almost 92 years old, without telling his kids, found an apartment in a high rise, and moved out. Didn't tell his kids. It was his younger sister who could still drive, who could take him around. He moved to an 11th floor apartment with all these young professionals that were driving into Chicago for work and alone because he was like, I cannot be around these old people anymore. And we're like, Grandpa, You're in your 90s. You're probably older than half the people in here. I can't do it. I can't stay here. And so he couldn't drive, but I have a cousin who has cerebral palsy that my grandfather had built a tricycle for BJ. So he modified it for himself. And there was even like a cane holder. So he would trike to the grocery store across the street every day. That was like his outing. Come back. My grandfather was like pretty much blind. Like, we don't know how he did this without killing himself because he had macular degeneration, but he knew the route well enough, could see enough that he got by, and nothing was stopping that man. Nope. He was too young to be in a place like that. So there's the German stubbornness right there. He was like, get me out of here. I can't be behind all these people with walkers. That's what he would say, all these old people.
The first thing that my dad asked when we had to do the rehab center was, what do I need to do to get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, let's ask it. When they come in, that's question number one.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him, and he did. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I mean, he had no intention of ever being in a nursing home rehab center, and so he was really not a happy camper. You know, he was not mean-spirited or anything like that, but he was definitely determined he was not going to spend another day that he didn't have to be there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, resilience, strength, willpower, it can benefit you. It can be frustrating for family members. My grandfather's children were not happy about his decision, but right, he was the adult. Yeah, yeah. So funny, so funny. Got to use it in the right way. Use the stubbornness in the right way, right? Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Okay, what else do you guys want to accomplish? What do you need help with? Lisa, I did see that you went through some of the strength training videos. I get like little notifications. Were they helpful?
Yes, I love the stretching one. And that's a lot of that is something that I usually do.
Good.
And so I thought, oh, you know what? And it just dawned on me just recently that with my Fitbit, and I'm not sure I could do it with my older one, but that one, the battery went dead, and so I had to get a new one. But I can from here tell it, like, pick from 39 different types of activities, right?
So you could like track stretching or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. And so I was like, hey, there's a treadmill, hot dog. And
Yay.
and so what's kind of cool about that is that it connects to Chronometer.
Mhm.
And and I'm thinking, oh, look what it just did. Okay, cool. And so I found one, it has stretching, and it doesn't have Tai Chi, but it has yoga. So I think that's probably pretty close. So
Yeah.
I'll do that. So I'm like, ooh, okay. So I was pretty pleased with that. I thought,
Mhm.
probably everybody in the world knows that but me, but
No, but it's always nice to have like number one, be able to use what you've bought, right? Like find new strategies, but also and be incentivized. Like, oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna get credit for that. Like I could put it
yeah,
in and get credit for it, and then like, yay, right? Like
right.
I did it. I did like this treadmill walk and this outdoor walk and this, right? And this stretching and this Tai Chi or whatever. It's nice. That's kind of along the lines of Cheryl doing the Conqueror Challenge, right? Just being able to see it
Mm-hmm.
and be like, I accomplished the thing. That is a great reward. Like it's helpful to keep us motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. So well, why don't we go, and Julie, only if you feel like answering this, but I would like to get a sense for what you'd like to work on next, right? Like I feel like Lisa, you kind of alluded to like you have your plan for like increasing movement. Cheryl, you've kind of been working on the same thing. Like, do you have a like next steps for you, what you'd like to do? Have you thought that through?
I feel like I need to literally print myself like a little cheat sheet, put it on the wall of some exercises to do during the day. And
Like during those like stand up things?
yes, Yeah,
Okay.
some quick, easy movements that I can consistently just do. Here, do 20 of these, do 20 of
Mm,
those, do
mm.
20 of these. And just kind of work on a routine. I feel like the more routine I can make it, like every Saturday morning, I need to get up and do this. I can't just be rocks every Saturday morning, but I love that. But you know,
Oh, I got to remember to get rocks next week. Got to get
yes,
rocks next week. Got to remember.
after I do my rocks, I need to do X. You know, whether it's take a walk, it's trying to build in. I don't know. I sometimes it's too much on the fly, and that leads to excuses where I've not settled into that rhythm of when to do things. You know, Julie and Lisa have a little bit different scenario. Well, not right now, Julie, but normally you have a little more freedom around your schedules. I still work, so I have, you know, I'm working during the day most times, and so I don't always have a set time where I can do stuff, and I feel like helping myself build some set times would be good. And I am trying to add more of the like the housework. What was it called? The neat? No,
Neat. Yep.
neat. Try
Non-exercise activity.
right. Adding more of the neat stuff to accomplish the things that I want to clean and do around the house. So
Yeah. So would it be helpful? Couple things. Would it be helpful to find a set time? Would it be easier, like to do it on a Saturday? Like kind of not tackle the workday yet, because that
mm.
might be the harder, like where you feel a little bit like more time crunch. Like, would it be good to settle on something like over the weekend to kind of start exercising a little bit of that routine? Would that be helpful?
So I thought about that, and sometimes the weekends can be a little bit of a hot mix too. So I I thought maybe just building in those couple strength training exercises during those stand-up moments
Mhm.
would be a good kickstart, and then maybe that would spur me on to, you know, hey, I could do this. You know, I don't want to lose traction by going hog wild and setting up this whole weight space and be like, I hate this. So if build these little pieces in, I thought that would lead me up to a designated time. And then if I get my husband to then buy into it, maybe together we can create that time where we focus on strength
Yeah.
training or an exercise.
Well, and what happens, and it's already happened for all of you, I can kind of see it, is like you do it and then you're kind of looking for, okay, well, I did that. Let me do more. Like you are just innately, right? It's this motivation cycle. You're just looking for the next thing. And so that's kind of where you are. And so maybe how many times a day, I have an idea. How many times during the workday do you get up and do those 1 minute exercises? Is it like every hour when it tells you to stand, or is it
It's every hour.
okay? So would you say you're at your desk for 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours?
About 8 hours.
About 8 hours. Okay. So would it be helpful if you had a list of, I'm thinking either 4 or 8 exercises, right? Because you could repeat them if you wanted to, because you're only doing like a set of them or something, right? Would it be helpful if you had a list of 4 or 8, whatever your preference is, exercises that then you just went through? Like, I'm going to go one
Yeah.
through four. I'm going to do 1 through 4 again. I'm going to do that Monday through Friday. And I'm going to, once that's solidified and your brain is looking for, because what'll happen is probably you'll be looking then for Saturday. You'll be like, that felt so good. What am I going to do today? I have
Right.
a little bit more time. I have this pocket of time. I don't have to use the stand motivation.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I just want to build on this slowly so that it is still in line with that habit stacking, because that does seem to work the best for me.
Yeah.
Like just building those little momentum, and then you're right. Maybe on Saturday I'll say, you know, I did like that. What can I do with the husband today?
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
think, you know, making it just part of being in the office, the weights are literally right there, 5 seconds away. I should be able to just stand up and do them.
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'm going to write myself a note, is I will share in the chat. I would write a note if I had a pen here. Why would I have a pen?
I
on the
I got
desk?
one.
Yeah. So what I can do is send, like I can, that way you guys can all see it, kind of a list of upper body exercises that you might want to do. Because like obviously bicep curls are helpful. Would you like to just keep it upper body or would you like it to be full body? Like what?
I have the minnow belly that I would like to get rid of.
Okay. So that's a good conversation. So
I'd
menopause,
like to get rid of that.
yes. So that is a fat loss body composition thing, not a targeted strength training situation.
But if there are some exercises that we could include that would include that, because like everybody says, if you want to lose the minnow belly, you do this, this, and this exercise. And I'm like, just give me 3 and I'll do them
Yeah.
consistently.
So I like full body compound exercises because I find that it is more bang for your buck, right? So instead of standing and doing just a bicep curl, like could I do a squat and then a bicep curl on my way up, right?
Yes, I can. Please
Right.
do.
Yes, right? Because then it's just a really good use of time, right? Or can I do, if like lunges are okay with you? I have a hard time with lunges, but if you can tolerate lunges, then a lunge to a shoulder press, right? So you're lunging like with weights. And then when you're coming up from your lunge is when you lift your arms. Okay. So you're not doing them both at the same time. So you don't have to feel like you're like out of sorts, but you're using your whole body to do that.
Yeah, don't give me aerobic sort of moves, but
No.
if it's a simple 2-stepper sort of thing, don't make me think, I can't think too many steps. Like
No.
I
Not
failed
like
aerobics in high school. Please don't make me
no
do that
aerobics,
again.
no dancing, but just right. Because if you do like a squat and a bicep curl
Yes.
and you do 10 to 12 of them a couple times a day, right? And you do 4 compound exercises where you're using your whole body, then you've basically in one day, you've done a full strength training routine. Like really.
Yeah, I've been doing like a step out with the weights, holding the weights and then kind of stepping out on one side. If start with tree pose, arms out and step aside one side and then step the other side, step the other side. Just
Do you
kind of
keep your arms out the whole time or are you moving
No,
them
you're coming in and out.
in and out, like in
Yeah.
this way,
Yes.
in this way?
Yes.
And then you're moving, you're
As
like,
yes,
like
as I'm
dancing.
stepping. Yes.
Stepping.
Kind of, yes.
Okay. So that's like,
Legs together, arms together, legs step out and
do you
arms
just do
go
one
out.
leg or one arm or
One
like-
leg, both arms. I
like
vary
both
it.
arms kind of thing? Okay. So that's like it's like a star jump sort of. It's kind of,
Yes.
yeah, that's like what that
Go
is.
with that.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to imagine it in my brain. Yeah. Yeah, because there's like a few different compound exercises that you can do that would just kind of incorporate everything. And, really at the end of the day, you've put together a nice little strength training situation. And like, if you do that 4 or 5 days a week, like that's a big difference. Yeah. So you're doing those. What else are you doing? Because let me think. I gotta write notes for myself. So squat to bicep curl.
When you reach up and then pull your knee up. And you're
Do that
reaching
again.
up. You're reaching up and then you pull down to your knee. Yes.
And bring your knee up this?
Yes.
Those
Yes,
are
that one.
great. Those are great. Okay. Lunge to overhead press. When I say those words, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
No, that didn't that you tell me the truth.
An overhead press is this.
Yes. So when you go down for the lunge, and you can either do like you can step back or you can step forward, whatever's more comfortable for you when you get into lunge. And so step forward or step back, go into lunge with the weights here. And then when you come up from the lunge, then you overhead press.
Mhm.
So we've got,
I think I did that one on the Apple before.
okay. And then star jumps, but you're not really jumping.
No,
Low
no
impact.
jumping.
Low impact. That's what I'll call it. But you already know what those are.
Yeah, I'm open for anything that targets the flabby arms and the
Well, what I'm trying
menopause
to-
belly.
Well, what I'm trying to think of is using all the different exercises in the upper body, right? So we want to hit the biceps, we want to hit the triceps, we want to hit the shoulders, we want to do the back some, right? So like
Mhm.
I'm thinking through those movements. So we've got bicep curl, which is great for your biceps. We've got overhead press, which is great for your shoulders. And think about this as functional movements, right? Like we need the biceps to pick up our groceries. We need our shoulders to like press things away, right? We want to have strength here. Go ahead.
So here's where for me, like this part of my arm, I feel, and the shoulder, aside from the shoulder, what is that called? Frozen shoulder.
Frozen.
I do have a little bit of restricted movement, but I feel like that's improving a little bit with movement. This part is the part I hate. This part is
wings?
pretty the wings, yeah, the wings are not working for me. This part is pretty like I'm already pretty beefy here. So I don't want to add a whole lot of like super muscly here.
You're not going to
It's
bulk up.
this part.
This is a misnomer. We think that we're going to get big and we're not going to. Women, number one, we're not metabolically, we don't build muscle that way, that fast. And we'd have to use incredible heavy weight and incredibly intense nutrition strategies to get our body fat low enough to actually bulk like that.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean bulk. Like I meant like this part I feel is pretty strong. It's this part.
Yeah.
And probably this part that's not
So
working.
when you do the overhead press, okay.
Yes.
So and I always get it wrong. It's like eccentric or I said, oh, whatever. So we've got two parts to even an overhead press, right? We've got this part where we're using, right? We're elongating the muscles and coming down. Now, when you come down, you're using your triceps for, you can slow that part down. You can make this faster and this part slower to really focus on this area. Okay. So like you're using multiple muscle groups, but you can really focus on what you want to focus on. But also the arm situation is a function of aging, kind of like the menopause belly. And it's also a body composition shift that needs to happen. Yes, toning, like tone is good, but there's also some body composition, like some fat loss that will help because then you can see the muscle that's under there, the tone muscle that you're building. Okay. So what's the other one you said the star low impact star jumps is what I'm calling them. And what was the other one you said you did? You already are doing? Oh yeah. Okay. So are you doing it from here with the weights? Or are you doing, where are your arms?
I reach up and then I pull down.
Okay.
I reach up.
But it's more like up to the side, up to the side.
A little up to the side. I try to stay straight, but it's
Straight
usually
and then over. Okay.
over
What
a
do
knee.
we want to call them?
I forget what they're
Knee-
called.
Weighted knee raises.
I'm not doing that with the weights, but I could. I'm just saying I was not currently doing that with weights.
Yeah.
That is just my standard get up and move mode.
Yeah. So work your way up to using weights on that because that's especially with low weights, there's no reason why, as long as you feel okay. But overall, those 4 are really going to give you like a full upper body workout and a full lower body workout. The only other thing that I might add, just because I think it's a really important functional movement, is an incline push-up. So
Is that the wall push-up?
Yep. Either use a wall, use your desk, kitchen countertop, bathroom vanity countertop, like just anything, any surface. And work your way, like if you start on the wall, work your way lower and lower, right? To like countertop height or bar height, top height, down to like a bench height. Because that's just means you're going to be using more of your body weight. Like there's more resistance there. But push-ups are, even though I don't enjoy push-ups, like I've never been like, yay, push-ups. They are incredibly effective, just like squats. They're a really effective functional exercise. Because just think about with a squat, how often you squat during the day. We squat every time we sit down in a chair or get up from a chair. So like that as a movement is vital. And then push-ups, think about how often we use our muscles here, our muscles in our arms, or muscles in our backs. Any push, pull, carry activity it needs that functional movement. So it's really a good one. So kind of be. Is that enough?
Yeah. I just want to get rid of this
I know.
and tone this. The meadow belly, like, here's what gets on my nerves. And sorry for being graphic about this, ladies, but
Tell us about it.
so I was doing a yoga set last night, and she has us do windshield wipers. Do anybody know what that is?
Lay down on your
Lisa?
back, bend your knees, and side to side.
Yes. But the meadow belly gets in the way, and I
Mhm.
can't stand it. And I'm like, why? I can't squish the way I should be able to bend over like this, and I hate it. It gets in the way, and I'm like, yeah,
Mhm. Yep.
I don't want to look at that anymore.
No, I don't want that to get in my way anymore. Mhm. Yeah. I don't think that's graphic. I think that's real. Right? Kind of feels like if you were ever pregnant, right? Where you're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't. Like this is in the way. This is like restricting my, I can't I remember being like I can't hug my knees to my chest anymore. Like I can't reach. There's not enough room." Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I want to be able to do those exercises and not feel like, you know, there's a middle in the way.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
the core in general is just ridiculously weak. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
a sit up would not be in my vocabulary at the moment.
And that's okay. I mean, sit-ups have their place, but like from a like losing the menopause belly, are sit-ups of exercise you need to do? No, they're not. It is strength training whole body and it's nutritional strategies so that you can burn fat specifically. Like fat burning is kind of the harder thing to do. Losing indiscriminate weight is easier than fat burning, even though weight loss doesn't feel easy. It's like we can, but if we lose indiscriminate weight, we're losing muscle at our ages. And that is not what we want to do. So making sure that we're moving, right, with appropriate cardio and adding some strength training ensures that you are retaining lean muscle while burning fat so that we can get rid of that menopause belly, which is really visceral fat, which annoying for sure, right? Like aesthetically, it's not the way you want to look, but it's actually worse on the inside. So we want to get rid of
Oh,
it from
thanks.
we want to get rid of it from a risk factor perspective.
Great. Thanks.
I'm
It
sorry.
already looked like crap.
No, but like I want that to motivate you to be like, it's actually my health that is the most, yes, I want to look good, but like also I want my health to be better. You know? I didn't mean that as a like feel worse at all. Just like a visceral fat is a risk factor for all of us. For all of us. And that's where our estrogen loss just likes to then put fat there. Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I started reading the new menopause book. Ladies, if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. I know Cami already recommended it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I'm not far in, but it's it is nice to read it and realize we are not alone. And I know you told us that, but like, it's just nice to see that shift and the openness.
What's the name of the book again?
The New Menopause
Okay.
by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. The other one is Estrogen Matters. If you have not read Estrogen Matters, really good one. I will say that's my number one book. The New Menopause is my number two. And Dr. Mary Claire, she's in the process of writing the new perimenopause book. So that'll be interesting when that
She's
comes.
also a member of the We Do Not Care Club, so I can appreciate that.
I know. I've been seeing so many of the menopause influencers doing that, cracks me up. And every time I see another video from Just Milani, she's so good. She's so
Yeah.
good. Like I wish I had like that, like wit, like the way that she writes it. And it's like, yes,
Yeah, she'll get
totally
on.
relatable.
She'll get on, and she'll have like 3 pairs of glasses like this all over the place. She goes, We do not care that we cannot find our glasses and that we're wearing 3 of them or something like that. You know, like
Uh-huh.
we do not care. We do
Mhm.
not care that you put your clothes inside out into the washer. That is how they are coming out. I'm not turning them right side out.
I am not doing it. I am not doing it. My son always, his socks are in a ball. And I'm like, that is the way I give them back to him. They're just now dry, but still in a ball. So I'm like, I do not care. I do not care to fix this for you. Mm-mm. I do not care. Yeah, she's awesome. So fun. All right, Cheryl, was that helpful?
Yes.
Do you have those exercises written down? Because they'll be gone after the chat.
I did not, but I will write them down
Yeah,
right now.
take a screenshot or write them down or whatever. Okay, who else can I help?
Well, I have a checkup coming up next week. It's my primary care.
Mhm.
And I never quite know who's going to walk through the door. You know, sometimes this woman is like really kind of upbeat and happy and supportive, and other times it's kind of like she's not, you know. And
Mm.
so back in December, I had it in my head. I was like, okay, if, you know, if Godzilla comes through that door, I'm done. I am, you know, I'm not going to I don't need this. I don't need to
Mhm.
come to an appointment where I hear, you know, blah, 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 you know. And I mean, she's not of menopausal age, right? And, you know, so I don't know. She's smart. She's smart. When my white cell count started going so high, we saw other things start to stress. And she said, I think your pancreas is stressing, you know, because my A1C was going high, right?
Mhm.
And so she's like, let's try metformin and see if this just kind of relieves, you know, the stress. I'm like, okay, all right. And
Mhm.
but it's like she was so convinced that she was right that I had had a bone marrow biopsy, and the next week I happened to have her appointment, and she did the A1C test following that, which I felt like my body was probably still stressing a little bit from the bone marrow biopsy, and that gave her a reading that was like, is it 6.5 is like the cut or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, I just need one more reading and you're going to have this diagnosis. And I'm like, it's not like I want this diagnosis, right?
Mhm.
And then that spring, I had an episode with hyperkalemia, and
Yeah.
and it was so this was with my oncologist, and the white cells would or the blood samples would hemolyze, and so
Yeah.
which would, because the inside of the cell has like 20 times more potassium than the serum, you know, when they burst and it looks like your potassium is sky high. And so I had a
Mhm.
couple episodes there where I'm on the way back home and I get a call, your life is in immediate danger, you need to go
Yeah.
to the nearest ER. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what? You know, and so I had to do some certain, you know, research and go, okay, when this happens, there's an inverse relationship between potassium and this, and there's a,
Mhm.
direct relationship between this. My calcium is fine. My, you know, this is fine. And, you know, nothing else
It's
in the
the
labs.
only thing that's
Just, yeah,
off the charts. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't
But
tell you how many times I would draw blood in ICU and then they would come back. It's hemolyzed sample. You have to do it again. And I would be like, oh, like such
yeah,
a frustrating thing because potassium would be really high. And like we treat high potassium. Like that is an emergency. But if it's hemolyzed, it's not accurate.
yeah. So I had an episode where the oncologist checked and they said, nope, no, there's no hemolyze that did not hemolyze. So get to the ER. So I go to the ER, and so they're processing me through, and you know, and they're doing these, all of this stuff, and the treatment for this to combat this, they flood you with glucose, they flood you with, all of this stuff, right? And um, it just so happened that the nurse who was managing the ER was a former student. And she comes in to check on me, and I'm like, okay, so let's think about this. You know, there's
Mhm.
nothing else in my labs that are, indicating hyperkalemia. This is it.
Mhm.
And she goes, I know. She goes, but the protocol is if we have a reading here, we have to start the treatment. I'm like, okay, but let's keep investigating. Who? She's like, okay. She said, I'm gonna find you somebody. And she did, and the doctor comes in and he's like, are you in the medical profession? I'm like, no, I'm a mathematician. And here are the relationships,
I'm
And,
looking at the numbers.
you
Yep.
know, right. And so he goes, okay, all right. So let's call in the kidney team. And they're,
Mhm.
so they come in, they're like, I think you're right. I don't think there's a problem here. So, and they kept doing point of care measurements and
Yep.
everything was fine, right?
Yep.
But by then I was so out of whack, that it took the rest of the night to get me back
Normalized. Mhm.
normal, right? And then I happened to have a primary care visit. I think it was like the next day, and she does another A1C reading. I'm like,
They just gave me all this
I said,
glucose.
they just gave me
Not.
all of this
Mhm.
glucose. She goes, doesn't matter. They gave you the insulin to follow it, And I'm like, I was in the hospital most of the, anyway, she got she got the two measurements, and that sort of thing. And she goes, once you have this, you have it for life. I'm like, I don't think that's quite true. I think we can reverse it here with food and exercise, we get
Yeah.
the numbers back down. And I think that, we get in a controlled state. So it's like she's smart, but she has to be right. And I'm already stressing a little bit about this
I can
visit next
tell.
week, right?
Yeah.
So-
You're
and
like gearing up for
I
this
am, I
appointment.
am. And it's like, and the good thing was the numbers, the A1C numbers are back in the fives, right?
Mhm.
And so we stopped the metformin, and that sort of thing. So that's, but I know it's going to be something else next week, right? But I'm feeling so empowered though, all right? Because I know that compared with most people, the walking that I'm doing, the stretching that I'm doing is like little tiny probably compared to, what other people do, right? But it's what my body will tolerate right now, right? And it's showing progress. And thanks to this routine that we're doing,
Mhm.
and the whole start little, build up a little bit, you know, by this time, with me doing it on my own, I would have injured my knee already or my back. And
Mm,
so, but that's not happening because I'm paying more attention. I'm doing that self-check, right? I'm
yeah,
doing
yeah.
the, um, you don't have to do what the peak primary care says, which is you're going to do 30 minutes, you know, just 5 times a week. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
I don't have to do, I don't have to do that. I don't,
Mhm.
so I just feel really empowered kind of going into this visit. And I'm still kind of the mind, if Godzilla walks through, I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't need this.
I was just gonna say, like, for how geared up you are, like you're geared up for a confrontation,
Yeah.
right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know who's coming in. And look, she's probably an excellent physician.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that she's an excellent physician for you.
Right.
Right. There's other people who may be like, I like that about her. She's direct and and for you, you're like, I want this to be a relationship. This is what I hear and feel
Right.
from you. Like, explain it to me. Let me tell you how I've done my own research. I've Like, let it be a shared decision making. And it
Right.
doesn't sound like that's her vibe. She's more like, I'm the expert and this is what it is. And also, you're going to end up being diabetic. So the quicker I get that data
Yeah.
point, then, we'll just whatever. So
Right.
I would encourage you to have a low tolerance
Hmm.
for how you feel about this appointment, because the best thing you can do is find a provider that more aligns with what you need.
Right. And, and I haven't made the switch because I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't
Mm,
feel, I just wasn't up to making the change and all of the stuff that goes with it. It's kind of like, you know,
I know.
I
It's
mean,
one more thing to add. Yep.
I didn't have it in me, right?
Mhm.
I feel so much better now. And I'm like, why have I put up with this shit so long? You know?
Right?
I mean, that's where I
Yeah.
am in my head now. And it's kind of like, why? And it's like, okay, don't go there, right? It just wasn't something you could handle at the moment,
Mhm.
right?
You had other things. You were dealing with your oncologist. You were like, you were probably seeing other physicians that you were like, whatever, she's not the important one right now. But now
Right,
she is.
right.
Now she is. Things have shifted.
And by the way, the oncologist who did that, I I found, the expert,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful, different, completely different world, you know,
Mhm.
and said, okay, let's go through the treatment options. And I mean, it was a totally different experience. And
Yeah.
so I know this is probably how it's going to go, but we'll
Yeah.
see. But
Yeah.
I feel empowered. This is working. This is working.
Yay. I'm so glad. Empowerment is, I always say, like, yes, your physicians, your medical team, like, we need to appreciate their expertise, but you are the expert on yourself. So don't ever discount that. Like, you're bringing your expertise of your own lived experience, and you can also respect their expertise, but your providers, your team need to respect your expertise of
Hmm.
yourself, right? Like, there's that balance there. And I think knowing what you want is super important too. So clearly, shared decision making, education is really important to you. So when you're looking for that new provider, that's what you can ask for from friends. Hey, I'm
Hmm.
looking for a doc who is blah, 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 blah. Like, do you know somebody that's like that?
Right.
And then start your research there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Good. All right, Julie, I had seen that you unmuted. What's going on?
So I'm just, after watching last week's video, that's where I decided I have to be on here tonight. But it made me realize that I have to find my routine.
Mm,
Because, I'm like done with cleaning out my classroom. I have a few things on my computer left to do. I turn in my keys. I have actually resigned from every committee that I was on. I've told them, remove my email, take it away from the church. Because as long as I have that, people are going to call and say, can you come do this? And I can't say no because it's
mhm.
church work. And so I want to be there and do that. So I need to build my routine instead of sitting around waiting for somebody to call to say, I need help with something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been doing sitting in the hospital, is coming up with what time of day I need to do things. And I have to start those baby steps. If I exercise right away in the morning, am I going to have a nap?
You might, when you first, like, you might need a little bit of
Yes.
recovery, right? If you haven't been, and it's okay to build that in, but over time, that won't be the case.
Correct. So
Mhm.
that's where I am at right now, is I am making lists and coming up with that routine. What if I exercise a little bit first and then go down and do my computer work? I've actually found videos of of artist day. And so
Like a day in the
artists have
life,
the
day in the
day in
life
the
of
life of an
artist.
artist. And there has been a group of artists that have started, this is what artists do. and it kind of shows their day. And I'm like, I so need these videos in my life right now to make me realize it's not just about the studio work and the studio practice being in front of a canvas. It's all of the crap in the background too,
Yes.
and if
And
I
like
get,
that counts and you have to set aside time for it.
yes. So if I actually sit down and I do my books, if I do the computer work first thing in the morning, and then I have the freedom to paint, I have the
Mhm.
freedom to create, I have the freedom to go walk in the garden. The one artist that I just found, he actually schedules in his day that he takes his dog for a walk in the morning. In the
Mhm.
afternoon, he goes and he sits in the park. Sometimes he takes his sketchbook. Sometimes he just sits and people watches.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, I can really give myself permission to do this.
Mhm.
So,
Well, they're really good examples for you to be
yes.
like, okay, I can allow myself like to sit in the park and do nothing. Like that is okay.
Yes.
We need, when you're busy and you're used to doing for others, it can feel very indulgent, right?
Right?
And so normalizing that like you can choose your schedule to look that way and also giving you ideas of things that,
Yes.
right, might be a really like your ideal day, right? Giving you that like, oh, this is what it could look like. And
Yeah.
so I think that's great. And especially as a creative, looking at other creatives and being like, oh yeah, they gotta have time for their admin work too. Oh, they gotta have
Absolutely.
time to like take care of their house and walk their dog and cook dinner, like it's just not all
Yeah.
studio time. Yeah, that's great. So are you kind of sketching it out right now so that you can implement it
I
later?
am. I am. I have several lists started with even those ideas of, well, I can try it this way and see how that works. And then I'll try it this way and see how that works, and then where can I slide appointments in? And yeah, it's kind of coming up with mapped plans on if something changes, I can shift it this way. And obviously, sitting in a hospital, this is what I have time to do.
Well, I think it's a great
And
use of
as
time.
and as you've seen, I've started writing also. Because if I'm
Mm.
not doing anything else, but all I've had is my phone. I had the most beautiful, beautiful
Oh,
writing
bye,
yesterday.
Cheryl. Good night.
Beautiful writing yesterday. And I ended up, my phone crashed and I lost it. I was so bummed. So I had to rewrite it. It was okay what I rewrote, but it was missing, it was missing some stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
That's just life. Shit
yeah,
happens.
yeah. But
We've
I
been
think it's
seeing that a
great,
lot lately.
for you to be, are you going somewhere? Bye.
Yeah, ice cream.
Okay, bye, dude. Are you going to Wow Cow?
Yeah, dude.
Nice. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye. My son's going to get his friend got a job at an ice cream shop where my oldest daughter worked for like 6 years. So he's like, I'm going to get ice cream. I'm like, Vinny working? He's like, yeah, Vinny's working.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I right, like it can be really hard when you're stuck somewhere, right? You're stuck, you're doing this, you're not able to do what you kind of intended to do, but trying to be strategic and trying to use that time in a positive way. And hopefully, then when you get home, you've got so many ideas. Like I would love to
Mhm.
see you for a good week or two just trying things out, not deciding, not being like this is the way it has to look, but just like let's try, right? Because you're such a flexible, creative person. So even like just like allowing it to be a creative process, figuring out your routine, but also saying, I have things I have to accomplish. They can look different, but I
Yes.
need to do them.
Yep.
And another,
Well, and those lessons on with the NEAT, that has that speaks volumes to me. So
Mhm.
that has been a godsend in trying to look at what my day looks like. Yeah,
Yeah,
even my husband has commented, you have done more in the first 2 weeks you've been out of school than I have seen you do in like forever. I'm like, I got things to do.
got stuff. I'm ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got
Well,
stuff.
and even using your studio time, right? That's a high value activity. That's something you want to do.
Yes.
And so leverage that to get the low value activities done, right? Get all that stuff
Yes.
that you're like, "Eh, I don't want to do it." Like, get it out of the way because then you have something to look
Yep.
forward to. That might be a really great strategy for you to be like, now that all the admin's done and this is done, then I can go in the studio and I can play and I don't have to worry about it until, tomorrow or 2 days from now when I have to do it again,
Right.
It's like a
Right.
reward.
So that's my plan. Yeah,
That's great.
that's my plan.
That's
And then
awesome.
with me being gone for over 2 weeks or almost 2 weeks, my husband's taken over the walking of the dogs. Well, he has gone crazy and he's like running them around the park across the street. He's taken them all the way back. He's letting them root and scrounge in the tall grass. They've been pulling all kinds of critters and stuff out of the grass. They're being true Jack Russells. And I'm like, well, I can't wait to do this with you when I come home. And I thought he would say, well, no, you'll take it over again. But he's like, oh, I can't wait to show you all these places that we found.
Oh,
So I am so excited. He is moving. He has the terrible back, the terrible knees. He was infantry. So he's so broken, but the guy needs to keep moving or he's going to stop moving. Yeah.
Gonna feel better when he moves for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this has been kind of an opportune moment for him too to get moving again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. Yay. Good. Good, good, good. Great use of your time. All right, ladies, was this helpful?
It was.
Was a good call. Yeah, even Cheryl said so. She said great call at the end of her chat. So, okay, reminder, we're off next week because I'm going to be near Lake Ontario getting rocks for Cheryl.
Awesome.
That's what I need to do. That's not the only reason why I'm going, but so I am going to open up tonight or tomorrow. I will open up the sleep and stress modules. So like the rest of the lessons, I'll open up for you. That does not mean you need to rush through them. I just want you to have access to them. So if you're still working through exercise and you're not ready to move on to anything else, that's fine. If you're like, oh, stress might be helpful for me because life is pretty stressful right now, jump into it. Or I'm struggling with sleep. Let me see, what I can learn. It'll be open to you. And then we'll start chatting about it when I get back. Okay? Yeah?
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Have a great couple weeks. And I'll see you in July, believe it or not.
Ooh,
It's crazy.
Have a great trip.
Thanks.
yeah, travel
I
safely.
appreciate it. Thank you. I planned that airline pilot better be on it. Make sure I travel safely. All right. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.